I'm giving you my child. Be grateful.
Standing at the entrance were my in-laws, sister-in-law, and her 2-year-old daughter. Ever since her divorce 6 months ago, she had been pushing her daughter's care onto us. Even my in-laws, instead of stopping her, were trying to get us to take custody of our niece. My husband and I, who had not been blessed with children, found it difficult to raise someone else's child. But what happened next regarding this child was unexpected. I'm Amelia, 27 years old. I got married 3 years ago to a 29-year-old husband, Courage, and we ran a restaurant together. Initially, we planned to expand our family after marriage, but unfortunately, we didn't have any children. Still, thanks to my kind husband, we enjoyed a busy yet happy married life. In fact, since getting married, I had only met my in-laws a handful of times. That's because my husband hadn't been close to his family for a long time. Opening this restaurant only deepened that divide further. My in-laws were executives at a major family restaurant chain, and my sister-in-law, Emma, had joined the company through connections. They wanted my husband to join the same company, but he had dreams.
I want to provide each customer with a dish tailored to them.
Instead of understanding his feelings, Emma and the others treated him like a villain.
Are you criticizing our chain?
They nagged him endlessly, and even after discussions, we remained at an impasse. In the end, my husband gave up trying to convince them.
I want to live as far away from my parents as possible.
If that's what you want, I won't interfere. So, we spent peaceful days as a couple. However, since Emma returned home after her divorce 6 months ago, things changed drastically. It happened on a weekday at lunchtime. As usual, we were attending to customers when the door swung open vigorously.
I'm here again. Ugh, as empty as always.
The loud voice belonged to Emma. She plopped down at a table with her mother and her 2-year-old niece.
They are here again. Always told her not to speak so loudly, didn't I?
You're such a nag. Anyway, bring me the usual lunch set quickly.
She visited us, but my sister-in-law never paid. Honestly, we were at a loss, so we glanced at each other. Then I whispered to him, "I'll go," and stood in front of Emma. Since other customers are here, if you're going to dine here, you need to pay like everyone else.
Huh. Are you seriously planning to charge me and your family? How rude.
Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at her as she shouted. "Please don't raise your voice as it may disturb other customers," I requested, but she didn't listen.
And aren't you the root of it all? It's because James got off track after marrying such a useless woman like you.
Her words of abuse froze the atmosphere in the restaurant. Then my husband, who was cooking, stopped and rushed out of the kitchen.
If you're here to cause trouble, leave now.
If you have something to say, I'll listen later. I'll fix any shortcomings, so please, just. But she continued to ignore our words, just screaming angrily. Even her mother, instead of stopping her, was sitting there saying, "Hurry up and make it." Thinking we couldn't let things continue like this, we served them lunch. After eating, they left without paying, as if it were perfectly normal. Not stopping there, she began to act even more selfishly.
Hey, you two. Take care of our Ava today too.
Every day, she started bringing her niece to our shop.
We're working. You're her mother. Take responsibility and look after her, sis.
Huh. I'm busy. Since there are no customers, help me out a bit.
She forcefully dumped the care of her niece, Ava, onto me. To her, we seemed like free babysitters she could exploit. So, to shirk the responsibility of caring for her daughter, she and her mother frequently started visiting our shop.
I'm truly sorry about my family. Amelia and the shop didn't deserve this.
After they left Ava and went away, James muttered with his shoulders drooped. As she said, our shop wasn't exactly thriving. One reason for that was their disruptive behavior inside. Regular customers, who wanted a quiet meal, gradually stopped coming to our shop. At this rate, it's not fair to James or Ava. I sighed, feeling sorry as I stroked the back of my niece, who was being held quietly. Despite our efforts, a few weeks later, our relationship with my in-laws took a dramatic turn. One evening, after finishing work and returning home, my in-laws and Emma didn't visit our shop but came to our house. As we opened the front door, Emma forcefully pushed Ava into our arms.
I'm giving you my child. Be grateful.
Those words shocked both of us. Wait. What do you mean? Though I wondered if it was harassment toward me, unable to conceive, I questioned her.
You two have nothing to do, right? That's why I'm asking you to be Ava's parents.
Upon hearing her out, it seemed she had finally decided to completely abandon the care of her niece. Not only that, even my in-laws said they didn't want to take care of their granddaughter anymore. James's face turned red with anger at their irresponsibility.
That's too selfish. Are you giving up on Ava?
Don't say such nasty things. I brought her here, thinking of you too, who don't have children.
Although my niece was only 2 years old, she must have sensed something unusual. She anxiously sucked on her finger and looked down. You don't need to worry. Please take her back. To Emma's words, I firmly shook my head. Children should be raised by their mothers. And even a 2-year-old should understand how important her aunt is.
Oh, come on. You, as a daughter-in-law, have no right to refuse.
With such a selfish reason as the hassle of taking care of her, I couldn't agree. I firmly rejected her offer.
Oh, come on. We're busy with work. Besides, a daughter tainted with my ex-husband's blood isn't cute.
At that moment, Emma blurted out those irritating words, and I was greatly shocked. As parents, such words should never be said. And yet, even my in-laws agreed with her and said they felt the same way. Even though you're with them, this child is pitiful. Realizing that, I hugged Ava tightly in my arms. At that moment, my maternal instinct sprouted, and I was overwhelmed by an unprecedented sense of mission to make this child happy. Understood. So, is it okay for Ava to be our child? When I asked firmly, Emma smirked.
Of course. Also, we'll specially sell you baby items and toys. We don't need them anymore, so buy them all.
Behind her tone, which seemed to look down on me, my in-laws were also grinning with unpleasant smiles. They were not only shirking their parental responsibilities but also trying to make money. People who were truly beyond redemption. However, if this meant cutting ties with them, it would be a windfall for us. When I consulted James, he felt the same way as me. Fine, understood. We'll buy everything at your asking price. In return, don't ever show your faces in front of us again. With a determined attitude in my response, she came close to me.
As a daughter-in-law, You're being too arrogant. Even if you don't say it, I'll do it anyway. And then, be prepared for a big bill later.
With just those words, they quickly left. Later on, as Emma declared, she packed Ava's toys and clothes into cardboard boxes and sent them cash on delivery. Inside was a bill for $15,000. With our shop barely attracting customers and our finances in a mess, I can't afford extravagance for Ava, but let's use the savings I've been accumulating since my single days.
But isn't that too much? They're not even brand items. They shouldn't cost that much.
To be honest, I'm worried about depleting my savings. But I think things Ava used to use will make her feel more comfortable. Watching him silently ponder for a while, waiting for his response, he agreed with my opinion.
You're right. It's better to use things she's familiar with than to buy new ones.
Thank you, dear. From now on, let's protect this child together. Thus, we decided to raise Ava as our daughter. From then on, our lives became busy, juggling between running the shop and raising a child. However, with the in-laws no longer visiting, our mental burden decreased, and we always loved children. Above all, Ava was so cute that we were willing to do anything for her. And what changed wasn't just that our family had grown.
It was busy again today.
Yeah. I never expected our shop to have long lines. Returning home after a day's work, we smiled at each other. Surprisingly, our restaurant, which had been struggling to increase sales, was bustling for the first time since opening. The beef stew we recently added to the menu had spread on social media, becoming famous without us knowing. What was curious was how we started offering the beef stew. Never expected to get such a chance from Ava. While gently stroking her head, which could only speak a little, I muttered. While I was thinking of a new menu, Ava suddenly said, "Beef stew." Surprised, and since we hadn't offered beef stew yet, I made the beef tender and used the sauce we always used at the shop. Moreover, just like James always does, I served it in a way that suited each customer. And it unexpectedly became a huge hit. Moreover, whenever I thought of a menu, Ava would whisper lasagna or pudding, and when he arranged them and served them, they were well received. Customers expressed how they wanted to try these kinds of dishes, happily enjoying them. The previous financial difficulties seemed to have disappeared, and our life became more colorful with her. I wonder if Ava has some mysterious power.
Probably. The other day, when I was looking for my glasses, she was staring at the back of the shelf. And when I searched, they were there.
Well, Ava, you're amazing. Of course, thanks to James' arrangements too. As we praised her, Ava and James tilted their heads and then smiled happily. Their appearance was as if they had been parent and child for a long time. I was worried about how things would turn out at first, but if it continues like this, we can give Ava a good life. Even in everyday scenes, I was filled with such happiness. But then, something unbelievable caught our eye.
Huh. Could this be? Take a look at this.
As James opened his phone to check a message, he exclaimed in surprise. Curious, as I peered at the screen, a news article was displayed. And its content shocked me, causing my eyes to widen. What? Is this for real? Furthermore, Ava, who was watching us with a surprised expression, picked up a box of building blocks. Then, she slowly handed the box to us. And when she shook it, we could hear something inside. Could there be something inside this? To such a question, she looked straight into my eyes. Since Ava looks so serious, there must be something. We cautiously looked into the box and were surprised. The anger that had been calm surged up from the bottom of my stomach. Hiding something like this. I can't forgive it. My anger flared up, but we decided to wait for the right time. A few weeks later, in the middle of the night, James and I were awakened by the sound of the doorbell. Not wanting to wake Ava, we cautiously opened the front door to find Emma, disheveled.
Finally. You too. Give me back my daughter right now.
Taken aback by her sudden outburst, we exchanged glances.
You're the one who pushed her on us, right? What are you saying now?
In the first place, we agreed you wouldn't show up again. If you have a reason, you should have told us first. As we tried to refuse and close the door, Emma forcefully wedged her foot to keep it open.
She's my flesh and blood. Her mother has come to take her back, so bring her here now.
Though we firmly said we couldn't do that, she insisted on returning our daughter. Not only did we not understand her reasoning, but continuing this argument would disturb the neighbors. Frustrated by Emma's selfishness, I sighed heavily and crossed my arms. Could you please not take it out on us just because your company is in trouble?
Why would you say that?
I saw it on the news. It seems tough for you. Perhaps she didn't expect me to know, but Emma turned red with frustration or embarrassment. Watching her like that, I recalled the news I saw on James's phone the other day. It was about a scandal at the chain store where my in-laws worked. They had been using expired ingredients to cut costs, leading to a mass food poisoning incident. As a result, they faced severe criticism from the media and social media, and the chain store's performance plummeted.
We never had any problems before, but this happened after we gave up our daughter. It must be because she's gone.
Emma shouted in anger, her face contorted as if she had suffered greatly.
What are you talking about? Ava has nothing to do with it, right?
No, she's involved. Ever since then, we've been through hell.
According to Emma, their misfortunes didn't stop there. Her mother lost a wallet with a large sum of money. Her father got into a car accident and had to pay $3,000 in compensation to the other party, and a series of depressing events kept happening. And Emma began to insist that Ava was the cause of it all.
Your shop has been thriving since you took in Ava, right? It can only mean that girl is involved.
Those words made us fall silent involuntarily. I won't say everything that happened in my in-laws' house was her fault, but I couldn't deny that there was something mysterious about that child. While luck continued to favor us, trouble was brewing in my in-laws' house. I wonder if we should help them a little. Even though they had caused us distress, it was painful to see people suffer. Just as I was about to speak, Emma began shouting again.
With her around, we'd be fine. This misfortune is going to fall on you.
While we held her back from entering the house, my fleeting sympathy vanished in an instant. We will never give Ava to you.
Even though it's only been a few months, we cherish Ava as our child.
To demand we hand over our precious child for your benefit, we can't possibly agree to that. We glared at her with stern expressions.
Shut up. Shitty wife.
Don't you dare speak ill of my wife. Your greed is ugly.
I am far more devoted to Ava than ever will be. No matter what you do, I won't give her up, so please leave. Above all, I couldn't forgive Emma for treating our precious daughter like a commodity. And our shop thrived because James tailored each dish to suit individual tastes. To make the most of the hints from Ava, my husband served dishes with flavors like rich, light, or a little spicy to cater to each person's preference. And the presentation varied as well. For women who wanted to post on Instagram, edible flowers were sprinkled, while for hearty eaters, large portions were served, which became a topic of conversation, and our shop flourished.
Even so, without Ava, you wouldn't have lines outside, would you?
While Emma had a point, I strongly believe that James's consideration for customers was the real driving force behind our success.
Return my money-making daughter.
To call Ava that way is contemptible.
He stared at Emma with a look that seemed to say, pitiful. No matter how much you cry or scream, my feelings won't change, so please give up. I don't want to see your face anymore. Quietly angry, I handed her a USB, with no intention of leaving. Wasn't it because of things like this that misfortune happened, not because of our daughter? In the next moment, Emma's face turned pale as she looked at the USB.
That's the one our parents and I have been searching for. Why do you have it?
It came out of the toys. It might have some value that I bought from you. That USB was in the box Ava handed to me at that time. Given the mysterious power so far, I was convinced there was always a reason she held it. Upon checking, the data on it turned out to be for the hidden books. Receipts from suppliers, and evidence of tampering to inflate prices, were there. It seemed my in-laws, who were executives, were managing the procurement of materials. Abusing that position, they overcharged the company for purchases from suppliers and embezzled the difference. Moreover, calculating the data on the USB, the embezzled amount was $1 million. Ava must have sensed something and hid the USB, which was crucial to my in-laws, among the building blocks.
Even though we couldn't find it after turning the house upside down. Unbelievable.
We're the ones who are surprised. What on earth are you doing?
Shut up. Don't look at the contents. Give it back.
Emma, who snatched the USB from my hand, looked relieved. I've already contacted your company about this. Realizing it was too late, Emma began to tremble at my words.
If embezzlement gets exposed, our lives are over.
And then, her initial confidence vanished, and she collapsed, sobbing.
I apologize for everything. So please, call the company and tell them it was a mistake.
I shook my head decisively and looked at her with a cold gaze.
Not just me, but our parents will also be in big trouble. Please, help us.
No matter how much she begged, it wouldn't erase her attitude or her crimes. Looking at James, he muttered, absolutely unforgivable. There's nothing more we can do. Accept reality and give up. When I told the sobbing Emma that, she started dialing the phone with trembling hands. The voices of my in-laws could be heard. After she explained the situation so far, there was a scream of what? Then they told me to switch with them. As soon as I picked up the phone, my in-laws pleaded with me repeatedly, please do something, and I beg you. I listened silently, but after a while, I took a deep breath and said this. Hey, you guys. Please pay for the sins you've committed. Goodbye. With just that, I ended the call and handed my phone to Emma.
Think about it again. If you want to raise Ava, I'll give her to you. Is that okay?
Surely, no matter how much we talk, we won't understand each other. Please leave as you're causing trouble. If you don't go back, I'll call the police. Emma flinched and stepped back, so I mercilessly closed the front door. Peeking from the upstairs window, she walked away slowly, her back gradually disappearing into the distance. Our ties are truly cut now. Afterward, my in-laws and sister-in-law were reported to the police by the company for tampering with receipts and embezzling money. Of course, they were fired from the company. It seems they'll be living behind bars for a while. Even if they get out, they'll still have to repay the embezzled $1 million. They'll be struggling with debt for a long time. Truly, they've reaped what they've sown. Meanwhile, we officially adopted Ava through adoption. We continue to run the restaurant while watching Ava grow. And as always, our shop continues to thrive. The extent of this child's power is still unknown. But whether she has a mysterious power or not, James and I will continue to love Ava more than anyone else. She's already our precious, precious daughter. How did you find this story? Please subscribe to the channel as well. Well then, let's meet in the next video.